Right, we're joined in studio by Wayne Divinage from the civic organisation Undoing Tax Abuse, which of course is very interested in how SARS behaves. Welcome to you, Wayne, but let's start with KPMG. Yeah. Your response to their finally a public response to all the claims against them.
Well, I think first of all it's a little bit wrong of them to remove some of the findings and not the conclusions. There have been a lot of lives impacted by this, and what we would like to say to KPMG is if you want to do this properly, you need to do what you should have done in the first place, and that is afford those implicated the opportunity to tell their side of the story. What we have so often in these reports and these hearings that take place by audit houses, by law firms, commissioned by government, is that they don't take the time to hear the other side of the story. We see it now with the Flock-Symington case, and they literally write the script for the client instead of listening to the other side. So,
is that within the gambit of what auditing firms do, or do they just deal with a lot of documents? Should they maybe have said, no, this should go further, we need to speak to
They needed to go a lot further. You cannot have findings of this nature without interviewing the Jan van Lockerenbergs, the Adrian Lacays of this world. They have to be given the opportunity to give their side of the story. Had KPMG done that, they might have uncovered a bigger matter here. They might have seen what's happening. But far too often these audit houses play to the tune of their masters, the people who are paying their checks, and they need to look far more introspectively, this whole industry, at how they handle these matters, because it has become very serious now, and we hope this is a wake-up call.
A wake-up call for global firms as well, yes, who think, oh, that's a little market, do you know what I mean, and maybe it'll go away, but this has global implications for these firms.
Absolutely, and KPMG International can find themselves in the hot seat, as McKinsey is going to find themselves in the hot seat. Shortly there are organizations taking them to task in the States, and KPMG will have to answer to that in the States as well.
SARS says that Johan van Lockerenberg, all the people that you mentioned, their lives actually weren't impacted by this report, although it's very upset that the report was withdrawn. What do you make of their response?
Well, it was. They might say that's not the case. He might say that he's relying on the Sikakana report. The Sikakana report didn't even implicate them on the rogue unit matters. If you look at the timelines, this rogue unit issue came into being 2 weeks after Tom Moyane got into the seat at the head of SARS. And the Sikakana report had already dealt with this issue, which was a totally different matter. It had nothing to do with the rogue unit. It saw the news breaking on the rogue unit and took it upon itself to include the rogue unit matters without, again, interviewing the people implicated. So I think Mr. Moyane is a little bit out of line when he says that he made his statement on that. Go and have a look at that Sikakana report and you'll find that there is nothing implicating this.
Because there are three reports. Judge Kroon did an investigation, Sikakane, and SARS is saying, yeah, there's enough evidence without the KPMG report. But you're saying nothing, in fact,
not at all. That Sikakane report does not implicate them because they haven't been interviewed. They haven't been able to give their side of the story, and it wasn't part of their original mandate. They took it upon themselves to mandate them that matter into their report. They shouldn't have, because it was after the fact, and they'd already interviewed Johan van Lockerenberg. So quite frankly, I think what Tom Moyane needs to do is take a step back, and we all need to understand what happened. In fact, why don't we go for a judicial inquiry, a proper inquiry to get to the bottom of this, an independent inquiry, and then we'll see what the truth is.
What do you make of their overall claim that KPMG has an agenda? I was speaking to SARS. It's hard to believe, because KPMG would be harming itself then to harm SARS.
I think KPMG are in a serious pickle here, but what they have done is started to right the wrongs. If they have had people that have been out of line with their audit practice, they need to fix that, and they're doing that, but they're not doing it properly. So KPMG mustn't stop halfway. As I said, they must go and interview the people that they implicated to hear that side of the story, and then they must write their report again, and that'll be a
with no commission. They should just do it.
Well, exactly. They should do it for free to fix the mistake that they made in the first place.
Yeah, not a bad idea. You're worried generally about the running of SARS, and we know the finance minister himself has admitted it, that South Africans are becoming increasingly tax immoral, not wanting to pay taxes. How does this response today fit into that general feeling? Is it going to make South Africans more assured and more confident in paying their taxes, or less?
Less.
Why?
I think the public are fed up now with the conduct of government at large. And what we find is an immorality of government, the way that they're running state-owned institutions, the appointments they're making, the maladministration, gross maladministration and corruption that's taking place. And what you find is that the public get fed up and they will take every shortcut they can. But let me just say this, we don't want to live in a society where there is a full-blown tax revolt. We want government to be able to collect its taxes, but government needs to demonstrate that it cannot ask for more taxes every year to be put in the top of the bucket, and this bucket is leaking. The milk and the water is spewing all over the floor, and they're not demonstrating how they're going to plug those holes, and they must reform that contract with society. They must gain the trust of the people. They've lost the trust of the people, so there's this backlash, and we saw it in e-tolls, we saw it on TV licenses, and we see it in focused tax revolts around the country.
What is the problem with their response, though? Because I guess they do have some grounds to be aggrieved if they commissioned a report and now it's called into question by its own authors.
They're aggrieved because...
Or is it the politicking? What is it?
It's the politics, but they're aggrieved because KPMG have decided to relook at that report and found errors in it, and it is right for an audit house to do that. It's not going to get them off the hook, and we must take our hats off to the Magda Weyerzackers and the Rajabedians of the world, who are business people who have stood up and called them to account. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to put out the fires, or there's going to be a big fallout here. But SARS then cannot say, no, well, you can't rewrite your report. If the report is wrong, if it is misleading, they have every right to withdraw that report. But they shouldn't withdraw parts of it. They should withdraw the whole report, interview the others implicated, and redo that report. And do it for free.
Thank you for your time this evening. Wayne Divinaj from the organisation Undoing Tax Abuse, OUTA.